Hello everybody, Lurgs here, welcome to my channel, and today I'll help you fit a Velux Blackout Blind to a Velux Balcony Roof Window. These Velux Balcony Roof Windows are a brilliant bit of kit. It just basically gives you a balcony in your roof space, in your loft conversion. And today I'll be helping you fit a blackout blind to this window here. Right, let's get cracking. First of all, you need to find out the size of the window. So inside the actual double glazed window pane, you've got this code here. If I just flip this over, now the code that we want is IPL P10. And I'm on a well-known auction site here. There's lots of places which make these blinds. And you're basically matching the code to what you've got on your window pane. And here is where you select the window model, the window code, and then what colour you would like. If you rotate the window in the middle, there's also a code label on the top of the window frame here. Right, I've got that ordered, and with the magic of video editing, it's already arrived. And this is the cassette cartridge which goes at the top. That's what's got the actual blind in it. And then you've got these two runners, one on either side. And it comes supplied with 6 screws. And there is the instructions. And the runners are going to be secured at each end here and at the bottom here. But I'll also give you another top tip near the end where you can put in some extra support in the middle. Now the instructions to say screw straight into the wooden frame, but I don't like doing that. I always like to drill a pilot hole first. So if you want, you can use a drill, and I've got my Woolworths drill here. It's been a great servant to me. This is the cassette here with the blind inside, and I'm just going to offer this up to the top of the window frame just to make sure it's the right size. When you do actually come to fit it, it's got this sticky tape on the back so you can stick it into place. So in theory you should be able to fit it on your own. You've got these grooves at either end, and they sit across these plastic cartridges which are stuck in the sides. These should already be on your window. I'm just going to offer it up to make sure it's the correct size which they've sent, which is, that fits perfectly. And if I just film it from the other side here, when you come to fit it, what you need to do is just flip the end part out. It just pops downwards. It feels like you're going to break it, but you won't. So it just pops down there, and you put one screw in there and one there on the other side, and they go in at about a 45-degree angle. And as I mentioned earlier, it's always best to drill a small pilot hole, but when you do that, make sure you use a drill bit which is smaller than the screw that you're screwing in. That way it gets a nice bit of bite and you can't damage the wood by splitting it. Right, I'm now ready to fit this, so I'm just going to peel the tape off the back. This is nice and sticky. In theory, this will hold itself up while you screw it in, but I may get a glamorous assistant to help me just to hold it up while I put the screws in, because I do not want this falling and smashing to the floor. Before you push it into place, make sure that that frame is nice and clean. So it's nice and sticky. I'm just going to push it into place. If you want to clean the inside and the outside of this Velux roof balcony window, there's a link above now about how to do that. So the sticky tape is pushing against that wooden frame there. Just pushing it all the way home, all the way along. And then we'll soon be ready to drill the pilot holes and get the screws in and get it secured. Now I'm just going to pop this part down. And then take my drill and drill bit, and the drill bit is smaller than the screws, and just drill a pilot hole. And also on the other side, then take your screw and your screwdriver and just secure that on either side. It's only plastic, so don't go crazy tightening up. Just make sure it's nice and tight. You do not want to really over tighten it because you could crack that plastic. I've got my glamorous assistant to hold it up while I put this side in. I'd already drilled the pilot hole. And just secure this on this side. In my experience, it's always best to drill a pilot hole because there's nothing worse than putting a screw into wood and then the wood starts splitting. Great stuff. That top cassette is now secured. And we are now ready to install the runners on either side. But before we do that, make sure that the window blind is nice and level on either side. You can actually kind of move it from left to right just to make sure it's nice and parallel all the way across. This one is, so there's no problems there. Now let's fit one of the runners. It can only go in one way. So that's going to be secured at the end there with that screw hole. But first of all, we need to get the top part in. So you're sliding it up towards the cassette and the window blind. So just gently pull the window blind out. And where the actual blind is, the cloth, that goes in a tiny kind of railway groove on the bottom there. So it just sits in a little groove like a railway track. And then you're just pushing it slightly underneath the cassette. There we go, it's just pushed in. I'm just going to put the blind back up to the top. So you can see there it's in the runner. And it just pushes underneath the cassette there. If we hold it in place and we get down to the bottom, that is where we need to put the securing screw in. So again, take your drill and just drill a small pilot hole in there. Just be careful you don't damage the runner as the drill's spinning round. This is a variable speed drill, so I can make sure it's nice and slow. Just a small pilot hole there. And let's get this screw in. Now this is quite a long run for a window blind, and I'll show you a bit later on, but I think there should be more screws holding it in place. So what I did is I put an extra screw in the middle. I just drilled an extra hole which goes straight into the window frame. And I'll show you that later on, because I felt it just wasn't quite secure enough in the middle. It's a very long run. Now let's secure the runner on the other side. This is exactly the same. Make sure the cloth of the window blind goes into the track at the bottom. It just slots underneath the cassette at the top there. It should all feel very natural. Don't try and force anything. And then let's get this one secured. Again, drilling the pilot hole and then screwing the screw in. And here we go. Fabulous. Now just show you how the window blind works. You gently push your fingers forwards and that releases the rubber, and then you just pull it down. Make sure with these larger window blinds that you use two hands. You do not want to twist it. If you just use one hand on one side, you could twist it. So always use two hands, nice and parallel, and just keep pushing it down. So you're pushing it away from yourself, pulling it down, and as soon as you let go, it just locks into position. And then to release it, just push your fingers in again, and then the spring will just naturally pull it back up. And as soon as you let go, again, it will lock into position. Now a good tip is when it's a baking hot summer's day and the sun's beating down, don't have it closed completely. Leave a small gap at the bottom just to allow any hot air to escape. Otherwise, that is a lot of hot air trapped inside your window and frame. Now this is where I find it's a little bit loose on the side runners here, because it is a long run. So I'm just going to drill another pilot hole in the center here on either side and just secure it into place. And that is much more secure. Great stuff. I'll tell you what, I think that definitely deserves a lovely cup of tea. If you're going to be working on any of my how-to videos, make sure you have a lovely brew. And now it's time for me to go back to the 80s in my hot tub time machine. In the top right there's a link on how to clean this roof balcony window easily. In the top left how to defrost your freezer in under 15 minutes. And in the bottom left how to remove mould from your silicone in your bathroom with no scrubbing. I hope that was useful.